Hello and welcome to Tiny Table Talk for The Challenge All-Stars Season 3, Episode 8. I got a lot to go over. I got some thoughts about this past week's episodes, kind of going on a bit of a rant. I got some theories about what could happen in this coming elimination that was left on a cliffhanger. Got to hand out some gold stars and get to some comments. Like I said, a lot to go over, so let's jump in, starting with... I think there's a lot of points to critique about this past week's episode, from going on to showing a lot more of the daily challenge this week than, say, the past couple of weeks, even though this daily challenge was a bit more straightforward, pretty basic, but we still got a lot of footage over everybody's heat and everybody's time. Then we got that prolonged goodbye from Veronica, who was medically DQ'd. Again, hate to see it. It just seemed like it took a long time for her to say her goodbyes and then walk off. And then we get to a lot of strategizing, even though there's a lot fewer players left in this game, and it just seemed like it was a predictable outcome of who was going to go into the elimination and who they were going to call out. And we also got that funny phone call between Bananas and Wes, where some people think it was unnecessary, other people really enjoyed that moment, but it all comes down to that cliffhanger of an elimination, where this is a different kind of cliffhanger, right? Normally, at least when there are two elimination matchups going on in one elimination, if there's a cliffhanger, you would at least get to see what's going on in the first elimination, cut it off in between right before going into the second elimination, but instead, the challenge decided to cut it off before we see the ending to the first elimination matchup. It just felt like very incomplete, and I think a lot of people watching this past week's episode was unsatisfied with how it all went down. I went through my comment section. Everybody hates the cliffhanger, and if you've been watching my review and recaps over past seasons, you know I loathe cliffhangers. Like, with every fiber of my being, I hate cliffhangers, especially cliffhangers like this one. And you know what I think is the major problem here? Is that the challenge is trying to elongate this challenge season, is trying to stretch as much of its content to cover 10 episodes. Personally, I don't know how they're going to get to 10 episodes, as it looks like we go through these eliminations and then right after that, we're jumping into the finals, it looks like, as they were showing us final stuff. Like, two people were racing in the previews. We had Brad and Naya who were working together. Then you had John A. and Wes working together, and they were kind of showing that. And then TJ was saying that they're going on a race to win their portion of $500,000. Now, unless the final is big enough to cover 1.5, 1.25 episodes of the rest of this season, it just feels like they're going to stretch and elongate every single conversation, every single moment to reach that 10 episode mark. I personally don't understand why they didn't do what they did last season, where in season 2, episode 1 was split down the middle. This season, we got 2 full episodes. We had 2 episodes that featured 2 daily challenges, 2 eliminations, 4 people went home, where in season 2, episode 1 and 2 was jumbled up together, where they had everybody doing the daily challenge, getting along with each other, getting to know everybody, and getting enough screen time for everybody before the first elimination took place, and we said goodbye to 2 people, which was Derek Chavez and Leah. Why didn't that happen this season, especially knowing that we were going to have 2 episodes dropped on us on the premiere? I would have much rather spent more time with Cynthia, Tyler, and the other players that left early in this game. Why not just have a longer premiere for 2 episodes to just have this one big premiere episode, essentially? And I think that they would have had a better time elongating this season to the 10 episode mark and getting that mark. This doesn't make any sense to me, why it felt like we were kind of going quickly through this season, where when we wanted to see the players that were coming back on the season with, like Veronica and Yes hadn't played on a season in a long time together, Wes and Jordan, as we were questioning coming into the season what their relationship and their game decisions would look like coming back on a season with each other, and then we got like barely any of that. Even Wes and Kellyanne, who are still on the same season together, we haven't gotten any conversion with one another. Like, we barely seen them talk to each other. I just feel like there's something missing in this edit, and it just feels like this season has been like more straightforward, we're putting on the blinders, we're just showing you some of the stuff that we want to show you, but we got to get to these competitions and eliminations and we got to get going kind of thing, which I do not like. And I just feel like they kind of mismanaged the editing of this season to where it could have been a more cohesive, more story building and driven storyline, like I would say the past couple of seasons have been. This season has been a little bit all over the place, and I feel like they're trying to highlight some of the players and then also try to make this all about competition, where there's something missing in this edit. And I think it's blaringly obvious where we get to this episode and something feels completely off, where we can't even see one full elimination round before we're getting hit with a cliffhanger and possibly what's going to be looking like for the next episode. Is it going to be a lot more fluff as people are waiting to go to the finals and we're only going to get 10 minutes of the finals, a whole bunch of fluff after we get to these 2 eliminations, or really 1.5 eliminations, and we don't even know what the other elimination is going to look like between Kayla and Kellyanne, as Veronica has already said bye-bye. But that's my thought process about the editing, as I was talking to Chris and Chantel on our Friday night talks, and the more I watch the season, the more I'm thinking about, man, I just feel like this editing is off compared to the other 2 seasons of All-Stars. I wonder what it is. If you felt like the editing was off, or that we were missing something, or we kind of like had some missed opportunities of getting to see more of Wes and Jordan interact with each other, Yes and Veronica, Wes and Kellyanne, other players getting to know each other, let me know down in the comment section below. All right, let's get into my quick theory about what's going to happen between Kayla and Kellyanne's elimination. Now, when looking at the preview, it looks like they're actually going to go through with the elimination of Light My Fire between Kayla and Kellyanne, which I'm all for. Let's do it. However, I doubt that somebody's actually going to be going home. So I think one of 2 things are going to happen. Either one, they're going to do the elimination, the one player who's eliminated is going to walk off and then automatically turn around and be like, what's going on? I didn't know what they told me to come back out here. And then TJ says, oh, well, you went up against each other, but there's no elimination. Everybody gets to stay in this game, and congratulations, you're heading to my final. It could happen. I'm glad we would get an elimination at that point, but I think that would stink. Or the second option, which I think is the case, and I hope is the case, is that because of the daily challenge and because Veronica was medically DQ'd and players were able to fight and play for Veronica's star, I wonder, because there's some women's stars that were kind of left up on the table. You had Jemmye, who had to leave for a family emergency. You had Tina, who left a couple of stars on the table. I wonder if, say, Jemmye star, because I don't know if you can put both Tina and Jemmye stars together into one elimination, but maybe that is the case. I think the elimination would be hotly contended if that many stars were up for grabs. But at least if one of those players' stars were kind of up for grabs, and so you have Kellyanne and Kayla going up against each other, knowing that nobody will actually leave the game, but you're actually fighting for some stars. I think that would be really, really fun to watch. One, you get a good, highly contested elimination matchup between Kellyanne and Kayla, who have not seen eye to eye in this game at all, and then they're fighting to have some sort of advantage heading into the finals. I would love to see it. I think that would be the best way to handle the next portion of this elimination, and I just think it would be really, really fun to watch. I think that would be great. I think that's my theory. I'm hoping that's the case. But what do you think about my theory? Do you think I'm correct? Do you hope that's the theory? Or do you think that there will be no elimination? Let me know down in the comment section below. Now let's hand out some gold stars from this past week's episode. And for the women, this is going to be easy. I'm going to give my gold star to Jonna. I mean, she won the daily challenge, she won into power, she won into safety, and she won Veronica's star. And when you take a look at what the rest of the women did on this past week's episode, I mean, Veronica was medically DQ'd, Kayla butchered that puzzle, Nia didn't even jump out of the helicopter, and Kellyanne did a very big mental mistake that cost her. So realistically, I wouldn't be giving my gold star to anybody but Jonna, but Jonna killed it. And on the men's side, I give my gold star to Mark, who did an incredible job. He is really catching on fire late in this game. He has been doing a great job to win into power when it matters the most. Mark did a great job, especially being in Heat 1. Nobody ever wants to be in Heat 1 in a daily challenge because they want to see how it's going to go. They want to see kind of like get the vibe of what other players are doing. He was in Heat 1. He crushed that puzzle, got it 100% accurately correct, and did it in the quickest time. All right, the first comment comes from Tanika, who says, I'm so upset at how this episode ended and now have to wait until next week. I really thought we would find out what the stars mean this episode since almost every confessional mentioned them. 100% correct. I have been dying to know what these stars mean. They have to mean something for the finals. I can't believe we're still not knowing what the stars mean. But a ton of people felt the same exact way about this cliffhanger. Nobody liked it, as we can see from some of the replies on Tanika's comment. Fonda Smith says, right, cliffhangers are the worst. And then Pineapple Real says, especially a cliffhanger this late on the season, it's just not needed. I mean, it is unnecessary and it is just straight up rude. Charisma comes in with a comment saying, soon as I saw the name of the episode, I knew Johnny was going to appear. Mark gives me Tom Brady vibes. Great shape and keep going at age 60. He is in great physical shape and he seems to be doing better than he's ever done in a challenge season. And does this make Derek Mark's Gronk? Never Too Late 1 comes in with a comment saying, I'm sad Veronica had to leave. I love her since day one of the challenges. It is very unfortunate that it was just something that happened at the house. It is really, really sad to have somebody medically DQ, especially this late in the game. But I have a feeling if some of the rumors I'm hearing out there are true, we'll see Veronica back on our TVs in some sort of capacity for the challenge. But we'll have to wait and see. Next comment comes from Jake, who says, does anyone really believe Nehemiah was purposely throwing these daily challenge? It does seem like a great strategy in this format, but I'm just not sure I'm buying it. Thanks, Angel Cake, for the breakdowns, and we appreciate what you do. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm so happy that you love the breakdowns, the reviews, and recaps. I got a lot more challenge content coming this year, but I think that whether Nehemiah was winning a ton of daily challenges or not, I always think that there would have been bigger fish to fry, quote unquote, in the game with players like Darrell, Jordan, Wes, Mark, and Brad, who is winning a ton in this game. I mean, Nehemiah is almost as connected as Brad is in this game. Heck, even Wes has won one time in the authority, yet his target has not relatively gone any bigger or smaller on his back. So I just don't know if I'm buying it either that Nehemiah is purposely throwing these challenges. It's kind of like Darrell saying he was purposely throwing these challenges. I think that maybe you go out there, try to win the first couple, and then when they are just not falling to you or you're just not getting the wins, that's when you're like, okay, maybe I just won't win, and that'll be the strategy. Maybe that's the real move right there, is just say it's a strategy, even though you just keep losing episode in and episode out. Danielle comes in with a comment saying, I love the phone call with Wes and Bananas. It was funny and just gave me joy to watch. I'm rooting for Wes, so the fact he didn't go in is bittersweet for me. Happy he made it to the final, but I would love to see that rematch. Who wouldn't want to see that rematch between Derek and Wes? And this is the thing, right? Wes knows what we, the audience, wants to see. We want to see that dual rematch. I mean, how many times do you listen to Challenge Mania and Derek brings up an elimination win that he did and that was really hard fought? He always seems to bring up the Joss one, and then he would talk a lot about the Wes versus him. And can I just say, what is with this editing for this episode where we saw that one pole wrestle from the duel like 3 different times in this episode, yet we did not get it? I mean, honestly, how many times we saw that dual pole wrestle between Derek and Wes? I was like, well, it's a lock now. It's a lock. We're going to see that happen. We're going to see this rematch, and I'm excited for it. And then all of a sudden, we get to the elimination, and Derek's just like, I'm going to go with the easier route, and I'm going to go with Nehemiah. And it's like, wah, wah. Like, seriously? Why would the editors show that elimination over and over and over again when it wasn't going to happen? It just felt like a rug was pulled out from underneath me. Not saying that Derek versus Nehemiah isn't exciting, but come on, the thought process of that rematch of Derek versus Wes, oh my gosh, that would have been sick. That would be so awesome. It just sucks that it's a woulda, coulda, shoulda kind of moment, and it just sucks. Abilene Smith says, I was so pissed that Derek didn't go with Wes. I get it. He wanted the quote-unquote easy route with Nehemiah, but the rematch would have been so cool. Also, if there's anything we've learned over the years in the challenge, don't underestimate your opponent. I like Derek as a competitor, but I'm rooting for Nehemiah to take the win. Yes, I 100% agree. And this is the thing, right? You have to take that risk. You have to think about this, right? Last episode, he was like, look, we got to throw in Jordan. And then Derek was like, what if Jordan picks you to go in the elimination? And Mark's like, I don't care. I got to beat him now, because if I don't beat him now, I'm not going to beat him in the finals. I mean, going into the finals with Jordan gone and Darrell gone, Wes is the biggest target left in this game. Why wouldn't Mark think, I got to take a shot at Wes? So if I throw him in, he has a 100% shot of going into the elimination and a possibility of going home before the finals. And Derek, you just need to man up and go up against Wes. And if I'm Derek, I'm thinking the same thing. I'm going to lose to him either here or in the finals. So Wes being the bigger threat, you got to take the shot at Wes. And so I think that this was a fumble by Mark and Derek for not giving us, one, what we want to see, which is Derek versus Wes, but two, just not taking the right shots at the right time. It sounds like this is the final elimination. If Wes is correct when talking to Banana saying this is the final elimination and he could go up against Derek, I mean, why wouldn't you just take your shot? I get it. I want to make it to the finals, but when you make it to the finals, what's going to happen there? Seriously, think about it. I'm kind of upset that more shots weren't taken when the opportunities were given to them. And I just feel like, I don't know, there's something missing with Derek now, right? Because back then, Derek would want to take on the shot, the big dogs, the opportunities. He would want to prove to himself. And coming into All-Star Season 3, after getting purged right in the beginning of the finals in Season 1 of All-Stars, to then leaving early in All-Stars 2, now there's something warped with Derek's mind going like, I just want to make it to the finals. And to be honest, there's nothing really wrong with that. It's just not a winner's mentality, because you will have to go into an elimination and take some shots, take some risks to set yourself up better in the future, which would be these finals. So that's just my piece on it. I don't know how everybody else feels, but that's just how I feel about it. I think old school Derek would have tried to take on the best of the best in any elimination and taken a shot at the big dogs to prove himself. But after 2 straight seasons of either getting purged early in the finals or not even making the finals, I think he's gotten into that mentality of like, I just want to make it to the finals. I don't care if I win or lose. I just want to make it to the finals. And the final comment comes from Carly, who says, anyone else have a dream where they met TJ and Wes last night? No, just me. I mean, that would have been a crazy good dream. But that is it for this week's Tiny Table Talk for the Challenge All-Stars 3. What did you think about this episode? Let me know down in the comment section below. What did you think about the cliffhanger? What do you think is going to happen between Kayla and Kellyanne? Do you think that they will be fighting for stars, or do you think that there will be no elimination, or do you think it's just going to be played for fun? Let me know down in the comment section below. What do you think the stars are going to mean? Who are you rooting for in the finals? What do you think the finals is going to look like? And who do you think is going to win between Derek and Nehemiah? I personally want Nehemiah to win. I would love him to make the finals after what happened last season. I would love to see him make the finals again. But what do you think? Let me know anything and everything you thought about this challenge season so far down in the comment section below. I want to give a special shout out thank you to everyone who supports me over at patreon.com/angelcakevids. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you to everyone who is watching this video up to this point. I really, really appreciate it. I'll be back really, really soon with more Challenge All-Stars content, more challenge content, more content in general. But until then, peace.